Yo, what's good? Elite live streams. We are back, baby. What's good? Your boy Brandon B, Elite Media Co. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We in this thing, man. What's good with y'all out there? We back to talk some Shedeur, Jimmy Horn news. You know what I'm saying? Big news just came out. The boy Shedeur just got named QB1. You know what I'm saying? So preseason is underway, and I think we're ready to kind of be excited about what we got to see coming in these next couple of next, and right around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Big boy vibes. And we shout out to the Browns. You know, they doing what they got to do. I mean, of course, this isn't the most ideal situation because he's been kind of dealing with some things where it comes to not getting enough reps, and they're kind of playing around with him, being in and being out and being with the ones or being with the twos, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm really proud of him, really happy for him. He's definitely going to be, taking his opportunity, and I know he's going to run with it because that's what Shedeur does. You feel me? So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We're going to talk about him and Jimmy Horn reuniting in that joint practice. You feel me? Shout out to Jimmy Horn Jr. He's been killing it. We got some new Elite merch, as you can see. You feel me? Check it out. You dig that new Elite merch? We got that going. This one is, just kind of, we doing some one-of-one pieces. You feel me? So we had to get that Elite merch out, fast and in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? We're doing it in that brown. You know what I'm saying? Not to say it's for Shedeur, but you know what I'm saying? It was just a good colorway with the brown and the red. You know what I'm saying? Elite Media Co. You know what I mean? We in these streets. We out here, making those one-of-one pieces. So if you see anybody with a leak, they real gang. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody is going to be privy or be able to have access to these type of merchandise. You feel me? So if you want some, of course, get at me behind the scenes. We'll figure something out. But yeah, man, Elite live streams, we back. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's get into it. Shedeur, he had his joint practice with the Carolina Panthers, which Jimmy Horn is, the newest member of. And, they're definitely living their dream, man. It's been crazy ride, to see them kind of go from CU to where they are today, man, is incredible. It's an incredible journey, and I'm really happy for them. Just to kind of see them, kind of reunite and get together is just a beautiful thing. If you ever play ball, you understand what it's like to be with your brothers. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see right here, you feel me? They linked up. You know what I'm saying? They're right there. You gotta check the Wi-Fi. You feel me? And they're showing off the Coach Primes. They're both in the Coach Primes. Showing love, and what an amazing moment. You know what I mean, for both of them. I'm sure. Shedeur, he's been kind of locked in. Dealing with what he's dealing with at the Browns. So I know it's good for him to be around some good energy and get to see Jimmy, his guy, you know what I'm saying? And, be able to kind of, have that moment with him, just to celebrate each other and, give each other some love as they're going through that, that journey, what they call the process. They're going through that process of being a rookie and, out there, trying to make their name for themselves. And so it's really dope to kind of see just how quickly they both kind of, been able to take over the league. Everyone's talking about Jimmy. Everyone's talking about Shedeur. Everyone's talking about LaJonte. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's talking about Shiloh, right? These guys are taking over the league as rookies, and these are guys who weren't even, supposed to be high round picks, And so it's very cool to kind of see the transition where they're coming from, CU, and now they're able to share these moments as they're growing in their maturation as rookies in this league. And, now that Shedeur gets named, QB1, it's on now, you know what I'm saying? Where now he has an opportunity to go out there and to make, a name for himself and be able to, attack it how he wants to attack it, because I really do feel like his opportunity is right now. And it's been cool to kind of see that journey, right, where he's started from, basically being kind of a fourth string guy, right behind the scenes, trying to make his name. And we watched, as they kind of, were playing with his reps, not really giving him the full reps, but with every single rep that he got, right, he was making a play. He was making it, known that like, he was really, really doing a great job. And so there's been some reports that have come out about how that joint practice went in, Cleveland. And so I wanted to bring that up real quick so we could kind of talk about that because, it was a really dope practice. And I've heard nothing but great things that came out of that practice. A lot of people are talking about Shedeur right now, and I think this is his moment. So, as you can see here, it says they weren't allowed to take videos, but the passes that Shedeur made in joint practice today impressed both coaching staffs. And he said, overheard one of the Panthers coaches say, "I wish that was our quarterback." All right. So look, you know what I'm saying? He's making it known. He's making an impression, right? And he's going out there doing what he's supposed to do. He's going out there and spinning that thing. You know what I mean? As he should. And I'm very proud to see it because I think, given the circumstance, right, him getting drafted lower than he was expected and him not being able to kind of get the reps that, he wanted, right? He's still overcoming every single time, right? He's working through the adversity as he should. I think that's a good lesson for him. Of course, yes, would we have wanted him to be the first round and be starting game one? Sure, yes, no doubt. But at the same time, God don't make no mistakes. And I think this is kind of a testament to that because I think, Shedeur has really been put in a better situation, right, to be able to kind of develop his game and being able to have some time to, understand the playbook and kind of where he's going with it. And I'm also very excited to kind of see what he does with his processing, right? Like he's already been a super accurate quarterback and he's always, 10 steps ahead when it comes to that. But now I'm excited to kind of see how he, implements that into his, his everyday game as like a, an NFL quarterback, and how that's going to transition him to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really, really curious to be able to kind of see where this takes him, right? Because he's right at the cusp, right, of just making a great opportunity even better. And so I wanted to kind of bring up this part as well, where he was talking about, being named the starter. And I'm really, impressed as well, because of course we already know that, his nickname is grown, right? Because he's so mature. But it's just great how he's been able to, take everything that is coming to him and being able to kind of, transmute it into, him staying locked in. So let's hear it.
It's mostly practice.
So have you watched me in college? Well, a little bit of that going on. I'm still the same guy.
We don't see.
That's facts, man. He's going to go out there and he's going to do what Shedeur does. And he's going to make it known that, hey, man, just because, of course, yes, I'm in a different situation. I'm with the Cleveland Browns now. It's the NFL. But I think he's still going to spin because that's just who he is, right? He doesn't back down from a challenge. He's extremely competitive. He wants to be great. And I'm really, excited to kind of see that journey and that maturation, right? Because he has matured so much over time. And I think this whole scenario that he's been through, maybe it's, them saying, oh, they got to humble him and yada, 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 whatever. But it's like, in my opinion, I think in anything, it just made him hungrier, right? It made him want to prove hey, guys, all right, cool. You guys think I'm a 5th round pick? All right, let me show you what's up. Because at the end of the day, I already know who I am. Like you mentioned to that, in the very beginning, he already knows who he is. And I think that scares a lot of people. They don't want a young man like this to be able to connect, you know what I'm saying, and be a quarterback and living his own life, living his own dreams, wearing his dad's, cleats, man. This is a beautiful moment, you know what I'm saying? And I really feel like from the outside perspective, right, the black quarterback is becoming the ultimate in all sports, right? We're seeing Jalen Hurts, right, being able to take over. We're seeing Jaden Daniels, right, taking that next step. We're seeing as well Cam Ward coming in with Shedeur, right? We're seeing a lot of really great black quarterbacks who are now starting to take those reins. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes being, one of the most successful right now, right, of this era. You know what I'm saying? And to kind of see the maturation and the growth that we've been able to experience, right, from the very beginning, Warren Moons, right, to, the Randall Cunninghams, to the Michael Vicks. We've been able to kind of see a lot of different, factions of the black quarterback. Byron Leftwich, right? Cordell Stewart. We've been able to see a lot of different iterations, and I'm really just excited for this new generation, because now this is a whole new generation of, football players that have, come up underneath, Deion Sanders and his tutelage. And, now I think we're now starting to see kind of, the ultimate, influx, right? Because of course he's already got a multitude of, draft picks in, the NFL right now, right? So this was the first go of that like 2-year, 3-year span of, CU players who came from CU and then transferred into the NFL, right? So now we're starting to see, kind of just how they are starting to be the talk of the NFL. Shedeur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, Cam Ward, right? Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn Jr., right? They're all being talked about. And so it's great to now see all that success and all that hard work. It's really starting to, pay off, and it's really starting to, come through for them. And I'm very, very excited for, this next chapter, because as you can see, like they're building, Shedeur, and tomorrow I'm definitely gonna be watching the game. You feel me? So maybe I'll do a watch along. Maybe we'll do a watch party, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll all pull up and watch it together. But all I know is, like, I'm watching that game tomorrow. You feel me? We watching that game tomorrow. We're gonna be, keeping a close eye on this situation, because I feel like when you look at what the Browns have done up to this point, I'm not too sure as far as like what their intentions are, right? But if Shedeur balls out, you know what I'm saying, and he, becomes, what everyone thinks he's going to become, then we gotta have a conversation. We gotta see what's really going on then, because now, the tables turn, right? And then Shedeur has the leverage. So right now, I think Shedeur's played it perfectly. He's kind of kept a low profile. He hasn't really done too much. You know what I'm saying? Just stays locked in, stays, longer, stays after, and makes, a very, very important, right? A very important part of kind of this organization is the quarterback. And they really need to figure out that situation with already 5 quarterbacks, now 6 in the building. You know what I'm saying? So the Browns, they have a lot of big decisions to make themselves. And so I think if Shedeur goes out here, he balls out tomorrow, he does what he's supposed to, he puts more favor on his side than anything. Because in my opinion, whether he stays or not, this is a trade bait game. This is a game that's going to be able to show people what he can do, what he's capable of, how will he be able to, maneuver in these NFL offenses and these NFL defenses. He'll have his turn to show everyone, and then, we'll see what happens. We'll let the cards fall where they may. But I'm very excited for this. So, just wanted to hop on here real quick. Shout out to all the people who always pull up and show love. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Brandon B. This is Elite Media, and we out, man. Peace.